Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Brad. While God never gives us more than we can handle, isn't a direct quote. Mother Teresa once said, I know God will not give me anything more than I can handle. And then she stopped, took a deep breath and said, I just wish he didn't trust me so much. One of the quotes I remember most from my maternal grandmother, Fran, is, this too shall pass. She used it as a source of comfort during difficult times. And looking back, it's amazing how many times I've used that, even when something seemed impossible at the time. And maybe at the time they seemed huge and they weren't later, but they were then. And that thing really helped me. There's another poem by Edgar Guest, and it's a great commentary on handling challenges. And it's about perseverance and to keep going. So I'm going to just read a little bit about it. It's called Don't Quit. When the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. So stick to the fight when your hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you mustn't quit. There's so many quotes attributed to hanging in there, keeping on, keeping on. However, what do you do when things seem really overwhelming? How do you handle what seems to be insurmountable at the time? When there appears to be absolutely no solution? Well, I tend to worry a lot more than I need to. And I completely remember when this started. I was about 8 years old, and I walked by the bathroom where my mother, fully dressed, was sitting on the side of the tub with this look on her face like this. And I said, Mom, what are you doing? And she said, I'm worrying. And I thought, I don't know what worry means, but I think I'm going to start worrying too. True story. And right away I realized that was a mistake. And I spent the next couple hours worrying about worry. Well, here it is some 60 years later, and I'm still worrying, only not quite as much. And speaking more of worry, I read a really good quote about a year ago by a man named E. Joseph Crossman. If you want to test your memory, try to recall what you were worrying about a year ago today, and you probably can. Now, does this mean one shouldn't worry? Seems unrealistic, don't you think? Sometimes worry is unavoidable. However, when the worry gets in the way and it keeps you from functioning and it keeps you from doing what you need to, then you need to do some sort of action. And for myself, it's meditation. Meditation is really one of the best ways of handling the tendency to worry. I've been meditating daily for about 50 years, and I can't even begin to tell you how this has helped me. Of course, I also have the best cat in the world, and she lays on top of we meditate together. Her name's Gracie May. However, if you're allergic, don't get a cat because I could defeat the purpose. Anyway, the purpose of meditation is to really connect with your higher self. And this results in increased intuition because your mind's quieting, connection to higher self, calmness, inner certainty. Buddhism asked, what have you gained from meditation? And he replied, nothing. But let me tell you what I've lost. I've lost anger, anxiety, depression, insecurity, fear of old age and death. So I'm going to demonstrate my short meditation that I do every day. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but this really works for me and might work for you too. So if you're a morning person, you're going to do it about 10 minutes before you get out of bed. And if you're a night person, you're going to do it about 10 minutes before you go to sleep. That's when you're in your sweats, and you're going to sit up in bed because if you do it someplace else, you're not going to do it. If you get up in the morning, you're going to have coffee, so you sit there. And I have a little egg timer. So let's all do it. Let's all pretend you're sitting up in bed against the headboard with your eyes closed and your palms up in your lap. Now, you're going to love this. If you put your tongue really lightly on the roof of your mouth where the teeth and the soft palate meet, that stimulates your pineal gland, which increases your intuition. Isn't that cool? So you're going to breathe in through your nose for a count of 5. You're going to hold it for a count of 5. And you're going to breathe out for a count of 5. And as you breathe out, in your mind, you're going to silently say the word breathing. And again, breathe in and hold it. Breathing. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in and hold it. Breathing. And that's all there is to it. Isn't that nice? The thing that's really wonderful about it is this. You can be sitting at work or just sitting at the table, and you can do it just looking down at your hands. The only time you shouldn't do it is when you're driving. So, so what this does is this brings me to the topic of gratitude as a tool for manifesting. Until my Facebook page got hacked about 1.5 years ago, I would post something on Facebook every single day that I was grateful for. And sometimes it was really easy. I could find 3 or 4 things. Other times, I'd be grateful that I found matching socks, or that the vegetables that had been in my refrigerator for 3 weeks hadn't spoiled yet. At any rate, it was an incredible experience, and people started thanking me, and it really helps. So I still find at least 1 or 2 things a day to be grateful for. I just don't post them on Facebook. And this brings me a little more to gratitude, because gratitude really is an attitude. It's a way of being open and receptive and thankful for everything. Even when there doesn't seem anything to be thankful for, there's always a gift in it. Even if it's a lesson not to repeat the same thing again. And so it really allows you to manifest, because manifestation is really about visualizing or allowing what you want to attract. Because the mind's unable to tell the difference between what's happening and what you think is happening, by allowing yourself to get into a mindset of how you want things to be, it lifts the energy. It reduces the negativity surrounding it, especially in situations that have already occurred. It shifts things. So let's say you had an altercation with somebody and you really wished it hadn't turned out that way, or you were being hard on yourself. Go back and go through that experience again the way you would have liked for it to have been. It shifts it. It really does. And basically, the thing is, when your energy is positive and uplifted, you're saying thank you and more please to the universe. And when you're grateful, your vibration lifts, and you tend to bring things to yourself. Gratitude can also help release fear by shifting the mind's focus from what might go wrong to what might go right. So when you practice gratitude, you become aware of safety, support, and positive experiences. And this helps the brain move out of an alert mode and relax. And over time, really regularly noticing things and just being grateful makes fear less overwhelming and easier to manage. So much of this is just about visualizing and allowing things to be the way you want them to be. So I give psychic readings at a couple bookstores during the week. And every single time, if I go in and I say, today I'm going to get between 3 and 5 readings, and I know I'm going to, and I feel it, it always happens. Mind is absolutely powerful. So again, much of this is allowing a feeling of what you want to attract. So let me talk to you a little bit about raising your vibration so you can attract what you want. So much of manifestation is based on letting the ego, or edging God out, go away. So I've got a question for you, and if you know the answer, you can't play. But what do you think the purpose of the ego is? Well, since I said you can't play, I'll tell you. The purpose of the ego is to protect you. So let's say you really wanted to do something. You wanted to apply for a new job, or you're just seeing this really awesome hot person that you wanted to ask out, or something like that. And then your ego said, oh, you can't do that. What makes you think you're going to do it? And darn ego gets in the way. So what you do is this. You become friends with it. You go, okay, I hear you. Thank you. This isn't working for me. I appreciate it, but thank you. And then you give it a job, and it like, where can I get a cup of coffee, or where can I find my other sock, or just something that you're looking for. But it really, really helps. Which brings me to another point about keeping your vibration up so you can worry less and manifest what you want. You ready for this one? It's language. You see, the mind doesn't register negatives. Did you know that? So if you say, I don't want something, it doesn't hear that don't. It just hears you want it. So when you say, if you want something, rather than saying I don't want, say I want to avoid. Think about it for a minute. It changes things. So I'm going to give you a little experiment. Think of something you really don't want, or you don't want to happen. Just think of it for a minute, and in your head say, I don't want. Okay, now that you've done that, think about the same situation, but notice if you say, I want to avoid. You still get it, but it lifts. It's not as heavy. It's powerful stuff. Speaking of which, there are other words you want to avoid. The first one is want. You know why? Because when you want something, you don't have it. And so instead of saying you want something, change your wording. I appreciate that this is manifesting, or I'm grateful that this is going to happen. It doesn't mean you don't want it. It's ridiculous not to want, because want does allow you to manifest. But it just makes it easier. Another word is try. My opinion, try is the worst word in the world. Because I'll try. Well, you're trying, but you're not doing it. You just got to jump off and do it, you know? Which, you know, at least you've tried. At least you've done it. Hope is another word you want to limit. Because when you hope for something, you don't have it. So again, you can hope for it, but avoid phrasing like you don't have it. Because again, the mind cannot tell the difference between your thoughts and what's happening. Which brings me to vision boards. So how many of you remember Judah, who used to belong here? He was a member for a long time, and he has given me permission to tell this story. Judah, in his late 50s, had never been married, and I told him it was for good reason that he hadn't been. But anyway, I mean, really, seriously. Anyway, he decided that he wanted to meet somebody. So he put an ad in one of those magazines, and then he did a vision board. And on the vision board, he had a couple holding hands. He had the words love, little hearts, all sorts of stuff. And he said, but he had one more thing on the vision board, which he had a picture of a tail of a Hawaiian airplane. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, why in the world do you have a picture of a tail of a Hawaiian airplane? And he said, because I think that would be a really good place to go on our honeymoon. And I thought, well, I don't, but I'm not marrying you. And he put the ad out there. And within 6 weeks, this woman named Melissa contacted him, lovely woman. And she said, I saw your ad. Remember that? I saw your ad, and I really felt like I had written it about myself, and I think we should meet. And he said, well, you seem lovely. And I agree we have a lot in common, but I don't think we should meet, because I don't think it would work out. So anybody who doesn't know this story want to guess why he didn't think it would work out? What?
She lived in Hawaii.
Yes, she did. She said, he said, I live in Denver and you live in Hawaii. And she said, compatibility can be worked out, but distance is the only thing that gets in the way. And she came to Denver. And within 2 years, they were married and living in Hawaii. Isn't that great? And it was a nice wedding, too. In closing, I would like to quote Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you're right. By remaining positive and remaining grateful, you are creating the energy which allows you to create a feeling of gratitude. This raises your vibration and allows you to manifest what you want. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for all of you also.